Good morning, everyone. How are you today? I hope you're well and good right now. I am Nikki Vanes. I'm shooting your teacher for Trans Network and Critical Thinking for the second semester. So our topic for today is about the trends versus fad. What is trend? Trend lasts for a longer period of time than a fad. It may take years before a trend slows down, while it only takes a few minutes or fad for a fad to stay. Thus, a fad is a temporary or short-lived pattern of growth behavior. For instance, the Beatlemania in the 1960s and the hippie trends lasted for decades, whereas the fad of the song Gangnam Style was short-lived. A trend has a record of occurrence in the past and might continue to the present, something in which, in unseen in a fad, it leaves a long, significant mark in history and could go on in the present. For instance, the rise of One Direction ushered back to the boy band trends in music, which recurs intermittently since the 1960s. The trumpets dance challenge and the mannequin challenge, which went viral on television and social media, were fads that might quickly fade away. So we have here the elements and components of a trend. Number 1. The number of participants. A trend may be started by an individual, but the number of people who follow it becomes bigger as time goes by. The group grows into a community, which not long after swells into national and international societies. The prevailing fashion of a period, for example, follows what celebrities are wearing or what fashion designers offer. People often copy and trendsetters, and so a new fashion trend develops. In the recent century, style of clothings are usually distinguished by decades. Number 2. Pattern of behavior. A trend is formed from repetitive actions of people. A simple act of taking a selfie has now become a cultural trend. It is almost impossible not to see someone taking a selfie in any place, be it in a tourist spot, in a restaurant, in the hotel lobby, besides a movie poster, in a cinema, in a concert hall, and at an event, among others. Before smartphones and portable digital cameras, pictures or portraits were taken by another person. Number 3. Long period of time. A trend has a long time frame, sometimes running for decades. A trend may experience some ups and downs in popularity, may fade away, and may recur. For many decades, the telephone was the main line of voice communication. It revolutionized modern living and had great impact socially, both positive and negative. Number 4 is cost. A trend has a starting point, which can be an idea, technology, event, or person. Portable audio players were popularized when Walkman was introduced in the 1980s, allowing people to listen to recorded music, cassettes, tapes, through headphones or earphones. Later, it would evolve the form of portable CD player. Number 5. Consequence. A trend may considerable influence or impact. social networking has become an encompassing trend that lends to influence behavior of online users. With the popularity of smartphones, users began subscribing to various social networking portals which enable them to post activity status and photos and even connect with celebrities. Characteristic of trends. Rehan and Landvist 2013 mention of a so-called hierarchy of trends, which explains why trends seems to have varying reach, effects, and influence on people. This hierarchy is representation of the scale of the development of a trend. Micro trends. A little things that happen all around us all time. The tiny shifts that occur in everything from clothes we wear and snacks we eat to the way we work, play, and love. These trends happen right now are the override observable. For others, microtrends are synonymous with fads. The importance of microtrends is that they offer a glimpse about the future through the clues they possess. Macrotrends. Macrotrends are aggregated microtrends or more sweeping changes that are affecting society. They provide major changes that are perceptible at societal level for a long period. These are more stable than microtrends, which can quickly fizzle out. Megatrends are the macrotrends that have grown out and moved out. They are big and bold and affect the lives of great swaths of the human race. They can last for decades and are so pervasive as to be generally known because of this condition. Megatrends are regarded as so obvious and evident. In other words, they have become the prevailing condition that has become too normal. And then we have also the gigatrends. Gigatrends are trends that are so general that they affect most areas of human life or, at least, more than one aspect of life or more than one industry. Gigatrends are usually identified to define an area. To illustrate this hierarchy of trends, study the following examples. Letter A. Internet connection is now considered a gigatrend as its functions are now tied up to everyday activities of people around the world. It has become too normal, such as that it's now to the base of several vital activities like banking, business, online communication, information gathering and disseminations, research, entertainment, transactions, gaming, shopping, and more. Letter P. Smartphones can be considered a megatrend, if not bordering on being gigatrends itself. They have affected many lives and industries. In fact, many chicks check their smartphones first thing in the morning to read text or private message, surf the net, and so on. Many human activities also depend on a smartphone, whether directly or indirectly. Texting, likewise, has changed how people communicate. In the past, communication was done through audio signals carrier or the telephone. With texting, which traces its roots to a mobile phone function, communication can now be done thoroughly digitally written words sent instantly. Letter C. Social media can be considered as a macro trend, but it can arguably turn into a megatrend considering how common it is nowadays. The continuous development of platforms and apps made the concept of social media pervasive across computer and smartphone users. While social media would not have been a trend without the overall influence of the internet has, nonetheless, given many people opportunity to read and exchange thoughts, opinions, and ideas. And then, letter B. Popular games and apps on smartphones are examples of macrotrends. The game can create a mania that later once wanes whether to give way to another. A few games have attained a higher level in the trends hierarchy, like Super Mario, which actually started in 1980s but has resurfaced through different gaming platforms. Identifying parts of a whole. Trends are formed from a combination of things. Thus, a trend has constituent parts or portions that are interrelated. Their confluence, as well as how the people adopt them, make the trend viable, especially the megatrends and gigatrends. Example: the Japanese animations or anime trend that is associated with several generations spanning decades. In retrospect, the popularity of anime was brought about the number of developments. Anime. The emergence of otaku or enthusiasts, Japanese pop music, manga, Japanese comics, and the other adaptation, home video availability, artistic experimentation, and stylistic expansion, movie industry, electronic subtitling, digital piracy, popularity of voice actors, television industry, English dubbing, animation technology and innovation, rise of animation studios, widespread syndication, information sharing through the internet, development of subcultures influences by Walt Disney films, penetration of international market and cosplaying. Now the visual culture. It was developed from various strands: digital camera, smartphones, internet, Wi-Fi technology, social media, mobile apps, computer, fashion art, and photography. Internet memes, infographics, and shareable videos seems to be microtrend only, but they eventually became a mainstay and disseminating information. Even large news organization and government websites use them. This visual culture trend can be considered as a megatrend, has evolved further with the advent of the internet. The smartphone and Wi-Fi access greatly help the new information of visual culture, which is subscribed to by many social media users, if not all. We have the identifying emerging patterns. A pattern is a design, shape, form of configuration that emerges from repetitions, appearance of lines, curves, and behavior. In the study of trends, repetitive behavior that gives rise to an emerging patterns is the main interest. In order to follow and observe if a pattern emerges out of various events and phenomena, one should have tools necessary to detect it. The tools that a transporter should find a handy to use are categorized into 4 activities. According to Rin and Lidske 2013, these activities are the following. Number 1, documentation. This means being able to record your observations which you considered related to any trend. The primary tools for documentation, however simple, are notebook and pen. Some ought to use note-taking features or apps on a smartphone or tablet. The camera has also become necessary in providing visuals, Others bring a voice recorder, which is best for saving audio. Number 2 is to archive or memory. This means being able to easily retrieve any documentation you have kept. Nowadays, the most pace-saving way or archiving in turning the physical into digital. Notes can be scanned or converted to a portable documentation format or PDF, while digital features can easily be saved. Number 3, analysis. This is the stage where examination and combination happens. Looking for patterns on prospective trends can be achieved through these methods: brainstorming, grouping, and crafting combinations. This visual culture trend can be considered as a megatrend, has evolved further with the advent of the internet. The smartphone and Wi-Fi access greatly help the new information of visual culture, which is subscribed to by many social media users, if not all. That's all. Any questions, clarifications, additions? If you don't have any questions, please open your learning pod and answer your activity at www.gaitf.com or contact or call me at 0926-2974685. Thank you and God bless.